Man, here we go. Leland Live Talk 99.5 as we get cranked up in the new year, first show of 2026, and we are fired. AJ, do you know what year this is? You know what year this is for the show? Any concept? I'm hitting you cold right now, right out of the gate.
Let's see. The 20 carry the 2 minus 3, and then add 4, and then like times 2 divided by 15. I'm gonna say what, 16 years?
Well, yeah, but 10 years since we started the show here.
Right.
Since we came, we were kidnapped by a cult.
Yeah, man.
Held hostage.
I mean, the tracksuits were kind of cool though. I still kind of
we still have the tracksuits that they made us wear. But man, how you doing? You good for the you good for the year? You ready to go?
I am.
Good break. Let's just get all this done, and then we got to launch.
You know, it was a good break. I was here pretty much during those time during the holidays. I was here kind of doing some stuff behind the scene, but achieved something that kind of just hit me, especially last night. So my baby girl slept in her bed like by herself
all night. That's a breakthrough.
It's a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Even though I kept going in there, like checking on her, I kept waking up, just being the dad. And I was doing this. I do the same thing with my son. He's like almost 5.
You got to check on him.
Check on him, even though I got cameras in there, just to make sure they're good.
Can't trust the camera.
No, I can't.
No.
But yeah, and I was like, man, next you know it, she's gonna be dating. He's gonna be driving. And
you'll be ready to punch him in the face. Yeah, she'll be sneaking out of the house. You don't even want to imagine that yet. Just enjoy them while you can contain them.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I already know she's gonna be a handful. She's a handful now, but it's good.
They all are in some ways, and in some ways not. But it's a good part of life. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, good. I was really looking forward to getting back to the show. I was pretty burnt out by the. I'll be honest, I was flamed out by the end of 2025. It had been a very busy year. I was looking forward to the break, but after, spending some downtime and some quiet time and a lot of family time, I was really ready to get back at it today. And that's when you love your job. It's good to get back to work sometimes. And the routine, there's things about our routine that are monotonous, all of us, no matter what we do every day. But sometimes the familiarity of that routine can be comforting. So here we all go. Everybody's losing weight and getting right and doing the right things. I talked to Val about that today. She goes, I'm going to be a little cranky because I'm giving up drinking and eating too much. I said, me too, Val. I said, we're going to get right and get tight at least for the next 2 weeks. All that'll go out the window by Valentine's.
Man, look, I've been juicing.
What? You doing the juice cleanse?
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear any more details.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm super excited. My mom actually got me a juice machine for Christmas.
Yikes.
And it's been kind of sitting there, and I was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to try juicing. And I did it, and I feel great. I do. Like, I bought some energy drinks just in case.
Right.
But honestly, I really haven't had to use them.
I would love to get off those things. I have to slam one right before the show every day because, end of the day, you need some energy, and sometimes it's a long day. But when we came back from that last trip overseas, almost everywhere you go is fresh squeezed juice. Like a lot of the hotels, the breakfast. I mean, it is so good right out of the orange right now.
Yeah.
Just like orange juice, for example. So Jessica was like, I got a juicer. We're going to start doing this when we go home. We're going to get healthy. We're going to do. Do you know how many freaking oranges it takes to make a glass of orange? She went through that. One day went through a whole bag of oranges for 2 glasses. She says, wait a minute. It's a whole lot cheaper just not do this. The juice thing is, but it's good for you, I suppose.
No, it is. Now, of course, everybody's going to be, well, you got to, you're not getting all the nutrients because of the fiber. And all.
Shut up.
It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm doing something different. I could sit here and drink diabetes in a can.
Right.
Or I could drink, something at least give me some type of nutrients.
Everybody's a health expert.
Yeah, like, come on.
It's like, dude, you just left Taco Bell.
Exactly.
I mean, you got a Taco Bell bag with a half-eaten taco in the back of your seat in your car. Shut up.
Talk about you need to go ahead and eat healthy over here. Even though you're juicing, it's not giving you all the nutrients that
Who are you imitating? I like the accent. You hang out with Urkel? Is that what
I mean, like, everybody's an expert. First of all, you're fat as me. Like, why are you?
Right. Yeah. It's like when I used to go to gyms, you'd always have this pudgy dude come up and try to help you spot you, want to get in a conversation and tell you, how some technique things. I'm like, yeah, right.
Right.
Sorry, dude. Give me your opinion on sandwiches now because none of this is credible whatsoever. All right, let's do it, man. Trump is not going to let us down in 2026. We started the year off with a bang. Of course, by now, it's so much conversation, I'm sure, with our other shows about the Venezuelan situation. This happens to be one subject that I did not need the show prep for. I have watched them. We have talked about them for weeks, not just even before the military buildup. And there's so much to say. A lot of it, obvious. This guy on every level was deserving of being arrested. The narco terrorism, his alliances with China, Russia, and Iran, they were playing Venezuela as a beachhead for their own activities in our country and against us. He opened his doors to the pariahs of the world, and I'm telling you, there are riots going down in Iran. There was a report this weekend that the Ayatollah may be planning to flee to Russia if things spin out of control. We had a chance for the citizens to rise up and embrace their freedom in 2009, and Barack Obama was president, and he was a complete wimp, and sympathized with the Iranians because he's a globalist, and we didn't lift a finger to help that movement, or we wouldn't be dealing with some of the mayhem and death in the world from that country. But it's all tied together. All of these pariah axis of evil nations have been working together, and we're not going to put up with this in our neighborhood. So Colombia is paying attention. All the other countries are paying attention. China's paying attention. The precision of that military operation is still breathtaking. What they were able to pull off is stunning, considering what we invaded. This was not Gaddafi. This was not some of the other. And by the way, I don't even want to hear. I'm not even going to entertain the nonsense from these leftists that somehow think this is unprecedented. In my lifetime, we've had Grenada under Reagan. We had Panama under H. Bush. Both of those very similar examples of us protecting our hemisphere against the advancement of communism. That alone, the foothold of communism and what it did to those people is enough to justify the action. We liberated a people, and the only people upset about it, particularly, are white left-wingers in the United States. They're the only people that are really putting up an exception. You've got world leaders who are like, this is unprecedented. No, it's not. Let me tell you this. We got people killed in Benghazi. The United States government under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton got our folks killed in Benghazi because they wanted regime change in Syria, and they'd already achieved it by stoking a civil war in Libya, and they took out Gaddafi, and Hillary ran around bragging about it. But we set up a secret because we were cowardly about it. Instead of just going into Syria and taking out Assad and letting that be the deal, Assad was a pariah on the world stage, and everybody knew it. Obama liked to talk tough, but didn't have the balls to do anything about it. So covertly, we were running a gun smuggling operation in Syria, and because of the covert nature of it, we had a low security profile because we didn't have the balls to do what were the convictions of the current president at the time. And because of the low security profile, the Al-Qaeda got some good intelligence, and they hit that operation in Benghazi and killed our ambassador and three others, left the rest to survive and fight it out for 13 hours until we could get rescue operations. The president could not even be woken in the middle of the night to order air cover out of Aviano, Italy. Do you remember the details of this? And so that's what a cowardly approach to talking tough. The Democrats themselves, I got Chuck Schumer over here. AJ, I'll play that for you in a minute. Chiding Trump for not getting rid of Maduro. The Democrats themselves had a $25 billion bounty on Maduro, but they didn't have the balls. It's one thing I'll have to agree with Senator Katie Britt on. I thought she handled that well. She had a statement over the weekend. Yeah, it's a new year, AJ. It's a new me. But she was correct. They didn't have she called it moxie. I'm being more crass about it. But they didn't have the balls to back up their little fake bounty. That what you do when you don't have stones is you get people killed. You talk tough and project weakness. I'm in the middle of reading. I was started it a few months ago. Put the book down. I picked it back up during the break, but it's about the building of the Panama Canal. We've gotten to the part where the Americans are finally taking over, and we tacitly had to stage a coup in Panama just to get that deal done because it was in the world's interest. And Teddy Roosevelt had this, I guess he was the first president to express it this way. He said, you got to speak softly and carry a big stick. The D's and a lot of Republicans as well, Lindsey Graham and others, are the opposite. They want to talk tough, but we don't really back it up. Trump just did it and ordered it. And by the way, Pete Hegseth may be the most accomplished Secretary of Defense at this point in my lifetime. I could probably think hard on some other issues Secretaries of Defense have had to deal with where the execution was flawless. This is the second mission that caught the world by surprise and was executed flawlessly. The first being when we bombed Fordham in Iran and took out their whole, it changed the whole world diplomatic chessboard the minute those bombs dropped. And Iran's out of the nuclear business, and now they may be overthrown by their own people. Praise the Lord. Something I've been pulling for since 1979. And this country's not interceded there. And freedom is breaking out in the world right now because of who we elected for president. It's just a fact. We liberated the people of Venezuela. You can see them in the streets. You can see the celebrations. They're tearing down Maduro statues. This man was a thuggish dictator. So he was a world pride dealing with some of the worst countries in the world and giving them opportunity and a beachhead in our country, running poison into this country. He was beating, listen to these numbers. This was a publication in Venezuela about how he treated his own people. These are estimates, but it's coming from, I think the publication is called El Costo or something, Humano or something. Or at least that was the site that posted this. 36,800 victims of torture in Venezuela just under Maduro. This doesn't even go all the way back to Chavez. 18,300 detentions, political detentions. We've had 8 million exiles. It's the second biggest humanitarian wave of people fleeing a country outside of Syria itself. There are so many Venezuelan exiles in our own country and all over the world that had to run from the starvation and the inequity of socialism and communism. Y'all, I'm a commie fighter since I was a kid. Reagan was my formative president. This is what we believed in. This is our damn hemisphere, and you're not going to mess around on our side of the planet with your bad ideas. You're not going to get a beachhead. We're going to resist that. My feeling is next to fall could be Cuba or Colombia. Then we got a deal at some point with Mexico. And the next thing you know, there is freedom. There's less of this migration waves. None of this stuff's being orchestrated. This is a chess move that I could talk about till 6 o'clock in its boldness and its brilliance and its flawless execution. By the way, I'm just rambling thoughts right now. I got so much to say, and I know y'all do too, and we'll throw the phone lines open and get the first calls of the year. I had a flashback today. I thought, wait a minute. I remember a story just a few years ago of the biggest nemesis to Maduro and the Venezuelan government. I think at the time it was actually Chavez. Do y'all remember this story? This is stunning. The Wall Street Journal broke this story. There was a 60-year-old guy who worked at the Home Depot in Hoover, Alabama, right down there by Patton Creek and where Costco. Y'all know where that Home Depot is, right? His name was Gustavo Diaz, 60 years old. He was an employee there at the Home Depot. But his night job, he's a former member of the Venezuelan army. He was a colonel. And he was running a website called dollartoday.com. And it was tracking all of the exchange rates between the U.S. and Venezuela and using that data to make it public to the world so that other dissidents and refugees could do basically currency manipulation. And it was driving Chavez and then eventually Maduro mad. They were destabilizing Venezuela from a distance. The Wall Street Journal called him the biggest arch enemy of Venezuela to date, and he was over there working at Home Depot in Hoover. But because this guy was trying to save his people and his country, I'd give anything if I could track him down and find him. I don't know if he still works there. This has been years ago. But that story flashed in my memory, and I went and dug it up. And to this day, it stuns me. The Cubans, other people that have fled the ravages of communism over time, are part of our, if you're my age or even slightly younger, 10 years younger, that was our developmental memory of how the world was ordered. It was us, the freedom countries versus the commies, period. Go watch Red Dawn. I mean, it, and that's our worldview, and it still is. And Trump's from that era, and we're going back to what was a proper order of the world where we defend freedom. I want the Iranian people to have their freedom in their country back from those. It's a different philosophy, but they've got a thuggish um, theocracy going on. Venezuela's under the grips of the failed ideology of socialism and communism, and it's failed the people of Cuba. And they need, I would love for those people to breathe freedom. I've met so many Cubans over the years that are the most patriotic people, originally Cuban, but migrated here and become American citizens. By the way, our Home Depot friend became an American citizen. He came here, did it right, got his refugee status, became a citizen, went to work, but didn't give up on his country. That is a beautiful story. Somebody should make a movie about it. So by removing this one individual and his nasty wife, these people are in the streets celebrating what could be a new Venezuela. There is no reason why they're not one of the richest countries in the world other than they collapse their own system out of the false promise of socialism. The warmth of collectivism. Is that what Mandami called it this weekend? I had to tune back into the news after days of being out. Are we going to have to send some Delta forces into New York and save New York one day? Maybe. These foolish ideas and this whole generation of kids that don't know their world history, they haven't lived through it, they haven't seen it with their own eyes. It's something in a textbook that doesn't connect with them. They are going down a foolish path right now, embracing these failed ideas. And Venezuela has always been, in our hemisphere, the latest poster child for that failure. Thank God, indeed, God himself, that they've been freed. Not much bloodshed. They were poised to devolve into a massive civil war that would have taken years to unwind. And by executing this mission flawlessly, liberation has broken out. The president of the peacemaker president, as he wants to call himself, can now be the liberator president. He has liberated those people from this dictatorial regime, and the dominoes are falling. The uprisings are happening. I'm optimistic in 2026 that the world will find its footing again. Nations can be proud of themselves, protect their borders, defend their cultures, repel this globalist invasion, and put things right so that people can live the way they should be able to live. The chaos that's being sown by these people, especially in the last 20 years, is finally getting a comeuppance. And the Chinese are paying attention, by the way. Do you know that it was their anti-aircraft radar systems that utterly failed the Venezuelans? They had deployed all kind of Chinese equipment saying, we'll see them coming. No, you got some cheap Chinese stuff, son. You didn't see us coming.
I mean, they got the Temu package.
And listen, they got the Temu air defense system. It was just a big old piece of metal. They painted some camouflage on it. It didn't work at all.
It was some guy standing in the tree like, the plane. The plane, boss.
You saying Venezuelan tattoo was sitting there trying to tell Maduro. Maduro slept in a safe. He slept in a bank vault, and we hit him so fast. They got him out of there so fast. He didn't have time to close the door. They brought cutting torches to be able to cut through the vault. The Delta team did. They didn't even have to do it. The door was still open. They hit his ass so fast he didn't have time. It was brilliant, and it was flawless, and it worked. Hallelujah. Back in a minute. All right, it's 2:27, and we've got a short little runway here for this segment because I talked so much at the beginning. We still got to get into Tim Walz. Jazz hands step down. It's amazing, that story itself. I could go an hour on the duplicity of this strange character on the world stage. The D's thought he ought to be the vice president. Now the guy's running for cover. He's running for cover to give them cover because this is starting to affect them all over the country, the fraud and corruption in that state, because it's trickling out to other states. So much to talk to about that. We will, but we got a couple of folks holding right now, so let's get them in here as quickly as we can. Mike is on a cell phone. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, I won't keep you long, bud. Matter of fact, you can answer me after I hang up. The first statement I'd like to make is the reason that the capture of him was so successful was the fact that Congress did not know, that the Senate did not know.
Exactly.
And the people that's squawking the most are probably the ones losing the most money in this deal.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Follow the money.
speculation. There's a lot of speculation on kickbacks that have come back to the United States and some politicians from this country. And not to mention, there's a whole election machine scandal in Venezuela. It was their system that originated the voting systems that we use, and it's long suspected that's where the rigged machines, some of that came from that country. We'll talk about that in a later time, but you're exactly right. Other defense departments have leaked to their buddies in the media. They've leaked to their favorite members of Congress, and it all got out, and it compromised missions airtight this time and with the Iran situation.
That's true. Well, I'm the poor guy that's married to the farmer's daughter that has called in before. So
okay.
I just want a chance to get my 2 cents worth in. I listen to you all the time, bud.
All right. Well, tell her to call in too, and we'll find out what she's got to say about that. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right, Bob. I see you over there. Bob's a longtime friend of ours, but I don't want to cut him loose. Well, Bob goes fast. Bob, go, man. We got about a minute.
I can't do it because it'll take me more than 60 seconds to tell you how Chavez got elected because I was there the night that it happened.
I want you to hold then. I'm going to put Bob on hold. Bob's our buddy. He'll do it. He knows how this works. We've got a hard break at the bottom. Let's take care of that. By the way, we got a breaking story. The Arizona Supreme Court has been evacuated. A package apparently tested positive for explosives. So they've evacuated the building. It was something that was either left there or mailed there. And so some chaos in Arizona. This is in Phoenix. We'll keep an eye on that in a little bit, update you on that if there's anything actually to it. All right, bottom of the hour, Lead on Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all hang on. All right, then. 234. Is that the official first bumper song of the? No, we had one.
Yeah, we had one
Yeah,
before,
we had one before.
but this is the first new.
I never heard that.
Yes.
All right, then. 234 Leland Live Talk 995 Ox Foundation Solutions bringing you the show tonight. That is my company for anything you got going on underneath the floorboards. Some of you have crawl spaces, and boy, it's just essential that you get encapsulation done if you have a crawl space. Older home, newer homes, believe it or not, there are some construction techniques nowadays where they didn't just automatically encapsulate. So make sure you have this. It's both a thermal barrier to keep the cold air out, and I guess the warm air out, but it's also a humidity barrier, especially in the summer, to keep that moisture out of your house that can sometimes lead to mold and other issues. You don't want that. Protect your home and do it right, and this is my company for it. Now, they're much bigger than an encapsulation company. Of course, they can handle water intrusion, cracks, shifts. They can level your whole house. They're the premier company that does all 6 or 7 major services, mold removal, remediation, all of these things. It's oxstrong.com. In the new year, take care of your home, and if you wind up with an issue, by the way, pro tip, just look around, look for things that are unusual. You're not trying to be paranoid, you're trying to be proactive. And they'll help you do that. Oxstrong.com, oxstrong.com. Okay. I'll tell you what, let's go to Bob and get his call in here. He's used to work in that field and understands a lot about this issue. Bob, the floor is yours. Thanks for holding, my friend.
No problem, my friend. Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. You too.
It must have been a good New Year's. You didn't call me for bail money again.
I made it. I survived.
I'm sitting in the Hilton in Caracas, Venezuela on December the 5th, 1998. And as I'm sitting there, I'm listening to automatic gunfire, and I go, what in the hell's going on down here? Because I was down there at an invite from the Venezuelan government. Long story made short, we get up the next morning to leave Monday morning, and their troops are everywhere around the airport. I mean, I'd never been patted down so many times and stuff. So we get ready to leave finally. We get on the airplane, and there's 2 goons sitting at the end of the ramp in silk suits, and that's a very professional pat down. I know professional pat downs. So we get on the airplane, we take off, and lo and behold, who comes out of first class? Jimmy Carter.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So he stops, and he and I get in this involved conversation because we're both graduates of the United States Navy nuclear power program. So we had that little conversation. He was down there to supervise the election. You remember how he used to do that? So let's go back to 2004, I think. I'm sitting in Jefferson County. I think wasn't that a national election, 2004?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm down there having coffee with my clients and stuff, and the guy from Diebold, who at that time handled all of our election stuff, the Diebold machines and everything.
Voting machines. That's where some of these modern machines originated.
Yeah. So I don't even know how it came up in the conversation. Well, come to find out, he and I are both staying in that Hilton in Caracas on December 5th, 1998, because the election was December 6th, 1998. Well, lo and behold, he says, do you know how Chavez won this election? And I said, I ain't got a damn clue, brother, but you fixed to tell me. He said, yeah. I'm sitting in the hotel room. They knock on the door. I open the door, and 2 people come in and stick a 38 at my temple and said, your machines do not work. Therefore, they ended up having paper ballots that were written in and counted by God knows who. That's how Chavez won that election. And Maduro, was his right-hand man, and when he finally croaked, Maduro took over.
Well, the Maduro election was fraud. He did not win. He's not the legitimate leader of that country. And speaking of Chavez, do you know we hit his mausoleum? They built this. It had this giant letter 4 and number 4 and a letter F on top of it, and had some flowers that said 4F, which stood for January the 4th, which was when it was his first coup attempt in Venezuela. So they wanted to commemorate that. So they built this big old huge, like multi-story palace of a mausoleum and put Chavez's body in there. The funny picture about it today, there's an after picture where we blew it up. There are all these shanties down below it, just slapped together housing multicolored like it looks like in Venezuela. So
Yeah.
here's the dead leader in this. He's dead, and he's got this mansion. The so-called socialist and the people that live right below that, or whatever those buildings are just nothing but shacks. And that is a picture of Venezuela. Well, anyway, we cremated him while we were at it during the raid.
Well, and what really breaks my heart is Venezuela had a place called Las Roques, which ultimately was probably the most pristine marine sanctuary in the entire Caribbean. And I had been invited down there because they wanted to. I had a long time association with the Dancer fleet of dive boats.
Yeah.
And we actually, through them and my association with the government down there, were the first dive boat ever allowed in that marine sanctuary.
Wow.
And after Knucklehead took over, all of that stopped. I have no idea what they've done to the absolutely unbelievable marine sanctuary. And we, of course, cut ties with the Venezuelan government at that point. But that was such a fantastic country to go visit. It really was. They were darling people. They loved us. They were wealthy. God bless. I mean, you just didn't see the beggars on the street and all that sort of stuff. And it just breaks my heart to see what's happened down there since Chavez took over.
Socialism and communism, no matter how they try to market it, always fails, and it always starves and kills people, because eventually when they talk about collectivism, they're just collecting their power. They're not collectively distributing anything to people. It's a false promise. It happened again. These people deserve their freedom, and I hope they make the best of it.
Well, and you never see any of the communist leaders living in any kind of poverty, do you?
No, I mean, this guy, he had evacuation plans. They'd given him an opportunity to leave, but he didn't want to do it. He talked tough, and so it got snatched. And as far as us taking over the country temporarily, that's a wise move. It's a stabilization move. It gives them time to organize. This was a surprise removal. We got to work with the people that are still in place, but eventually they'll get worked out of the system, and we can turn the country over to something that'll function.
My hope is they'll actually, through our guidance, have a real election.
Yeah, exactly.
And that would be wonderful to see what would happen, to see how fast that country would come back.
Yeah, and they're, the Machado, she just won the Peace Prize. The left loved her. I mean, she won the Peace Prize for opposing these people since the
I'm wondering if any of these people on the left have actually ever visited any of these countries and know anything other than, I mean, it always amazes me that the people who talk about these countries and stuff have actually never been there and been with the people. All they've been with is politicians.
Well, the biggest irony of the Venezuelan argument is the left wants to argue that somehow the oil companies were exploiting the people in 1998, and I guess there's always going to be complaints, and that they were profiting and the country was not, so they had to go after and seize the assets. Well, okay, fine. If you bought that argument, then they seize the assets and prove their incompetence. Then the people are starving. They're sitting on reserves that are the biggest in the world. And it's difficult oil, it's heavy, and it's hard to refine. It's not the best oil. It costs more to produce.
Like Canadian crude.
Yes. But the thing is, they had it pretty damn good when those hydrocarbons and that oil was being pumped and sold to the world, despite their complaints. Then they got a dose in reality when you want to poverty complain and think that socialism is going to be a better system, and these people are just dysfunctional. Then they began starving to death. Remember the stories about eating zoo animals, the average weight loss in that country over the years?
That one sticks in my mind,
They lost 20 pounds per person over time, which led to the flight, which led to brain drain. Some of their most talented people found ways to get out, just like Cuba. And the Cubans the Cuban people, not the Cuban government, are celebrating this. I think there are people that are oppressed in Colombia right now celebrating this. They're already in the streets of Iran. It is the most basic, God-given human instinct, as is expressed in our Constitution, to want that kind of freedom. And that comes from God. It does not come from government. And sometimes you've got to refresh the tree of liberty with the blood of some people that are willing to put it on the line. And that's what happened for these folks. God bless them. I hope it turns out great for them.
I do too, because it's a beautiful country. Yep. The other thing, let me throw a attaboy out to Ox Foundation. I no longer have water in my studio.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job out here, and they are so professional at what they do. and the people that worked in my house were just so nice and kind, and I can't say enough about what a good job they did.
Hey, good stuff, Bob. I appreciate you calling in tonight.
See you, brother. Happy New Year.
Thank you, bro. You too. I say tonight. I know it's afternoon, but it feels like nighttime. Do I do that a lot? I'll say nighttime before the show's even over. Distinctive Pools, man. We're going to be back in the 70s this weekend. You'll have a little taste of, I can see myself swimming in my own yard. Distinctive Pools have been with us for years. They're just top-notch, fine quality master pool builders. Gary Levesque founded this company with his 40 years of experience, and he's just unsurpassed. I mean, this guy absolutely knows his stuff, and it goes to both pool building and hardscapes. And those two, over the years, the proper pool design is going to include both. It's not just, when I was a kid, I'd be happy with a concrete pool and a fence around it and a diving board. That was all a kid needs. But nowadays, people are making these spaces real living spaces, usable all year by adding the hardscape features of outdoor kitchens and maybe hot tubs and spas and those kind of things, or outdoor living rooms with fireplaces and all this beautiful stuff. You can enjoy that whole space and have it done correctly. And they can do this in phases for you. They've got finance companies that work with them on a regular basis to get this stuff done. The winter is a good time to do this kind of digging and get this pool built in your house. After thinking about it for years, Gary told me one time people will contemplate putting a pool in for like 3 to 5 years. It's not an easy decision, but let them work with you and get you a design. Maybe that'll get you excited. Then they can help you with financing. Boom. Next thing you know, everybody wants to come to your house. It's distinctivepools.com. Look at their website and see the beauty of what they build, and reach out to them in the new year. Distinctivepools.com. All right, 249 Leland Live Talk 99.5 Michelson Laser Vision. First time this year I get to tell you about them and the miraculous surgery that is LASIK. Man, it really was a miracle for me. I appreciate everything about it to this day. I'm going on my 7th year. You couldn't have talked me into it right before I did it. I mean, I literally, this is a true story. I walked into Michelson that day just to talk about business. They wanted to come on the show. I needed to be educated on how everything works, and I already knew their reputation. That was a no-brainer. So many of my friends had gone to them. But I absolutely was not even considering it until I understood it, until I asked them for a consult. I said, can you just check me out? I'd like to at least know if I'm eligible. And my confidence built, especially when Dr. Michelson looked at me and said, you'd be an easy correction. We can make you see better. And it changed my life. I had a friend to tell me that that's how he felt about his surgery, and I thought he was just, kind of hyping it. But it literally has been the things I get to do without glasses. I do wear readers, and that's because I chose a version of the surgery where I corrected both eyes the same way. They can actually correct one eye for near vision, one eye for far vision, and your brain sort of figures it out, and you can both see near and far. But the trade-off is you lose depth perception and binocular vision, and I needed that for some of my activities. So I chose to have the correction that I did, and it's wonderful. At my age, just to throw some readers on occasion, and I'm still 2015. The surgery has done quite well for me. Y'all, it's MichelsonLaserVision.com, MichelsonLaserVision.com, downtown UAB Highlands, MichelsonLaserVision.com. All right, I got to give a little treatment. I see Rick over there, and I'll get to Rick, but I got to give a little treatment to this Tim Wall story. It's kind of the number 2 thing. Now, we're still watching whatever this is going on in Arizona, but we haven't had any confirmation if they found a bomb in their courthouse out there. But Tim Walz, I mean, and it's saying something. It's hard to think of a person that would have been a worse pick to be vice president of this country. We've had some bad picks from both parties. I mean, I was never a big Dan Quayle fan. Got to meet him a few times. For a moment, I really did like, what was her name from Alaska? I forget her name.
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin was all right. And then she got to loving the spotlight too much and tried to make herself try to cash in on the instant celebrity. McCain was a terrible president. So Republicans pick him poorly too. But the only person in politics with less connection to the people of this country and where we are, the only person worse than Tim Walz was Kamala Harris herself. You have to be so lacking in judgment and talent to pick that fool to be your vice president. The rumors about all the stuff that we're seeing right now coming out of Minnesota were already out there. There just wasn't all this documentation. Again, this isn't speculation by Republicans or just his political opponents. These are people in their own state, in the Democrat Party, that work for government, that have been trying to warn the country that there was a massive multi-billion-dollar, completely obvious fraud operation going on in that state. And so now it's coming unglued, and it wasn't just the fake medical reports and the fake autism. I found out during the break, they were setting up fake schools and daycare centers. They had one building where they had like 30-something daycare centers chartered for kids to go to school there. They took the money and just ran the whole scam, and there is no accountability. The way a lot of those federal programs work, the feds send the money to the states pair it with state dollars, but the states have to oversee and manage it. That's the way generally a lot of the grant programs work, a lot of the funding works in our country. The feds don't give you $1 without a lot of strings attached. And sometimes compliance is so difficult. And in full disclosure, that's the kind of company my wife runs. They help governments and nonprofits with their compliance, with their research to apply for these grants. And you got to manage it. You got to manage it properly, or you'll lose the money, or you don't get a chance to re-up for the money. And there's some good stuff that is done when properly done, but they absolutely were committing fraud on a massive scale in the state of Minnesota, and Tim Walz was part of it. Now, so today he steps down from the governor's race. Total hypocrite. Pull the Tim Walz sound up that I sent you, AJ, and let's play that. So dude does a press conference, makes the announcement, the word had already gotten out, with this complete BS about needing to focus on his job. He can't be running for He can't be running for governor and defending his record while also being governor. Wait a minute, what? If you stay on as governor, you're not going to have to defend this mess? No, you're going to have to defend this mess. I think he deserves prison. I believe he's complicit. I think the kickbacks are rich and real in this thing. And here's why you know that. We've got other instances of this popping up in Ohio, in the state of New York, in the state of Maine. And before it's all over, a lot of these blue states are going to have the same problem. The one guy learns how to scam the system. He gets cooperation from American politicians that cynically, for culture reasons and for demographic reasons, to help their own political prospects, start laying out the red carpet for these invading communities from other impoverished countries. And they bring them in mass, and they teach each other how to scam. And the indigenous politicians look the other way, and everything compounds and gets exponential until it's multi-billions. Just in the state of Minnesota alone, which is not a large state population-wise, I think it's pretty much sure it's bigger than Alabama, but they completely this is too big to be incompetence, is my point. Even in well-meaning, incompetent people would have caught some of this. Some of it was so blatant. One of these a-holes from Somalia came out and told the media, they broke in my store and stole the documents. Like, he was trying to say that he had documentation on all the kids in his daycare, which, by the way, was a post office box. But somebody broke into a building and stole all his documents, so he can't prove it. He's like, I can't prove I took care of these kids, but I did. I swear. Take my word for it. Yeah, you are not the captain now, son. Tim Walz is going to be looking for exile. You think he'll go to Somalia? I could see him in Mogadishu. It'd help him lose some weight, I think. Tim Walz, jazz hands. So he exits the stage today, and it's twofold. One, I think the dude is trying to dodge prosecution. Prosecution, not just some people are speculating that he's going to end his governorship soon as well, which would be obvious. And it's not just him. The Democrats are scapegoating him because the tentacles of this scandal are getting into their states. Second sets of eyes are looking at how this scam worked and are looking into their own states and finding what was going on in Minnesota. This was nationwide. The D's are complicit. Y'all, they run money through Act Blue. They were running money through USAID, and they were stealing money from taxpayers for their own political purposes, using the Somalians as a front. The Somalians were making off like bandits. It's stunning, man. And it keeps getting bigger, and they want Walz to get off the national stage. Remember, these idiots put him up as their VP and tried to convince you he was the everyman. He was like the rest of us. Harris was so lacking in understanding of a good part of this country. He's like, I need an old white guy to balance out the ticket because, old white guys like old white guys, and that might help me with old white guys. What a joke. They lost men, and I believe Walz has a big part in this. It was the transgender stuff and all the social engineering and the demasculinization of men over the years from that party that contributed, but Walz was the tip of the iceberg. You want that to be the representative of the rest of us? Hell to the no. They lost black men, Hispanic men, white men. That party will never attract men again if they don't get it together. So they got him off the stage today, but he's still in the spotlight. Man, do I have time to get Rick in here? Let me go with Rick real quick. Rick, go for it, buddy.
How long have I got?
You got a minute.
Talk forever.
You better go fast.
Stuff. All right. Well, 3 chords and the truth and that old King James. We need to get back to our roots, boys. Everybody wake up, America. Thank y'all.
Boy, you did that in a lot less than a minute. That's the way you do it, Rick. Rick, turning over a new leaf. No Rick rambles today. Rick says 3 chords and the truth. Yes, I'm a big believer in that. Y'all know what that means. It's like the old school music. Simple. 3 chords on the guitar and some well-written lyrics. Hallelujah. And go back to, he's calling for King James. I'm an ESV man nowadays. What's your version, AJ?
I like the King James.
KJ.
Yeah.
That's what my grandma, you were going to hell if you read anything but King James.
Yeah.
So she'd be praying. She'd hit you with some these and thous. Boy, she's a country woman that cooked great fried chicken and biscuits, but she could go Shakespearean with her Bible quoting. Straight out of KJ. KJV. All right, back in a minute.